So yeah, anywho, now I'm going deep into this stuff because I'm like deeper into the darkness, deeper into the spiritual realm. I'm talking about now. I'm dealing with I'm dealing with white magic to stop black magic, and wearing this and dealing with oils and saying prayers and lighting candles and lighting sages, and I'm going deep in, right? God knows what doors I'm opening at this point. And I felt like the more I was going deep in, the worse things were getting. I was feeling it. Like, yes, there are some things where I was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling better. I feel a different energy. But then there were some things where it was just like, no, I don't. I'm feeling darkness as well. So it's crazy because here's where things started to really take a turn. I started hearing God say, you got to choose. It's either going to be me or it's going to be the world and this magic life that you're into. And because of how hurt and everything that I was, I just kept saying, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming, God. I'm coming. And God's just like, nah, you don't have that much time. And I'm hearing it. And I'm talking to my aunt, my spiritual advisor. And I'm talking to her and I'm just like, yeah, I hear his voice. And she's just like, nephew, God is calling you. He has a call in your life. You got to answer that call. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But she's like, there's no but. And it's because I didn't want to, I trusted more of what I was hearing with the readings and everything than what I felt like God was going to give me. I feel like, honestly, I knew what that came with, that lifestyle. And I don't think I was ready for it at that time. So I just kept ignoring the call, even though I felt the call. Stop doing what you're doing. You're going down a really dark path. You should have left this life in New York, and you should have just stopped doing it. And I'm hearing it, and I'm like, nah. The psychic that I saw said, in order for things to get better, you really gotta stop a lot of the things that you're into. All right? And out of all the things she said, I was like, yeah, okay, maybe, right? Then I ended up speaking to another psychic, and she was telling me, "Oh, you're gonna be fine." Like, no, I don't really see like I see good things coming your way. You should start working on this. It was something that I was working on that she told me that I need to fully dig into, and that alone was like, oh wow, okay, cool. But then she was like, but you're gonna be fine. She's like, but there's something you gotta do. Now it's funny because God will truly use the things that has your attention to grab your attention, right? And so she says, but you gotta start living your life for God. Like, you got to get closer to God, and that's when things are going to shift. So when she said that, it kind of like just took me by surprise because, I mean, it's not like psychics are heathens, but it's not they're not really known for mentioning God too much. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I always used to use that loophole, like, oh, this one's mentioning God, so they're fine to listen to. No, that's not how it works. It's in the Bible. You ain't supposed to mess with them things. You can agree with me or not. It's there. If you ain't a Bible reader, then that's not what this. But yeah, it's there for a reason. Now, cool. I took note. I'm like, that's the second psychic that's telling me that, right? And I'm like, I've been dealing with these psychics for some years now. They haven't been telling me to go get closer to God. And finally, a family member's boyfriend came into town, and he's very spiritual, but he's more on the God side of things. And we're sitting and we're talking about a whole separate situation, has nothing to do with me. And he says, so how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. And he's like, do you have God in your life? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah. He just looks at me. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. So I'm scared now because, guys, God. You know how, if you know how he is, he'll tell your business. So I'm just thinking, like, God, don't tell this man my business. Like, so I'm like, yeah, yeah. I have him in my life. He's like, okay, all right. Yeah. He stops and he says, you really got to take him serious. Like, you really gotta, he's calling you. And at this point, this is the third time in a matter of 2 weeks that I'm being told this, right? And I'm like, huh, okay, I hear you. And he's like, no, it's a matter of life or death. And so I'm like, okay, I heard you. And so I remember, you know, leaving, and it was just really stuck on my mind. And I was doing something I wasn't supposed to do, right? I was having a random hookup. And during that random hookup, I could not get God off of my mind, as weird as that sounds. And it just wasn't enjoyable. And it was just like a moment in that moment that I had that I was like, I have to truly stop this. And I remembered crying, like coming home and just sitting on my couch, and I was just in tears. You know what I'm saying? Just one night in tears on the couch, like, God, why am I like this? Like, why did you make me this way? Why did I have to get raped at a young age? And why did this have to become something that's a part of my life? I've prayed for you to take this away. I've prayed for you to truly heal me. Like, why did my marriage have to end? And now I'm just sitting here in tears, just crying about everything, because I'm just like, why does my life have to be this way? Why do I have to deal with these things? You know, I'm just like, I've prayed for years. I've been dealing with this sexual habit from since I was 10 years old. Yeah, because of how young I got raped and molested. And at the age of 10, and once again, this is going to be a story, a separate video, but just to give you just some background of why I was so bad in what I was bad in is at the age of 10, I was online messaging grown, these were adults that I was messing with, and at 10 years old. And it was that way as a teenager, that way. And these are just battles that I've been battling for a very long time. And I think now I'm 32, and I'm just like, why am I still dealing with this? You know? And I just started just crying, and I said, you know what, this has to change. This has to change. And so I remember sitting there, like looking up sexual anonymous, classes and meetings. But I was like, how am I going to get there? And, whatever. So I remember like a week or so passed by, and I'm just like, I'm not doing anything now. I stopped everything. I stopped, but I still have the urges. But that last moment kind of just started to shift things for me, right? And so I remember looking up this how to get help with this, right? But still praying. And then I went to church. And when I had went to church, um, it was a different feeling, as if the call that I was getting from God was a deep call to Him. And I remember sitting in church, and they said, if you want the prayer, if you want to give your life to God, or if you want to do it again, because I was saved at one point, I backslid. They said, say this prayer with me. And so I remember saying, no, it's time. I remember sitting in the church saying, it's truly time. Because like I said, I knew what it came with. And every other time when it came to being saved, I didn't want to give up partying. I didn't want to give up smoking. I didn't want to give up a lot of the things that I needed to give up to serve God. So when I did make the decision to serve Him in any of the moment, I said, yeah, I'm gonna serve Him, but I'm gonna party here and there. Yeah, I'm gonna serve Him, but I'm gonna still drink and smoke here and there. He'll forgive me. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the mindset that a lot of us Christians have. I'll serve God, I'll be saved, but I'm still gonna live my life in the world, and He'll forgive me. Y'all can say what y'all want until y'all really get in the Bible. That is not how God wants you to live. But that's the way I chose at that time. And because of that, because I didn't want to ever be called a hypocrite, I just never talked about it. Right. But I've always loved God. I've had my ups and downs with Him, but always loved God. But this time in church was different.